Hello and welcome to Simple Country Place, real life cooking, cleaning, and lifestyle. I have 4 meal ideas for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, welcome, and enjoy. The first thing I'm making here is a pasta salad. So I have some broccoli and tomatoes that I've cut up, and I will be adding bell pepper and olives to this. My husband does not like olives, but I do, so I added to it. While I'm doing this, I do have some pasta cooking. I just usually use whatever I have on hand, and to this day it happened to be shells. So to the veggies and olives, I'm adding the noodles and Olive Garden Italian dressing. That's the best. I don't always use it. Sometimes I use like a different type of Italian dressing, but it's always good. And I am adding cheese to this because who does not like cheese? So I usually make this the day before and let it sit in the fridge overnight to get the dressing incorporated with all the veggies and the noodles and things. So with that, I'm making a marinade for a pork loin. I have some olive oil in that pan there, and I'm adding the soy sauce, Worcestershire sauce, which I know I'm probably not pronouncing correctly, and garlic. Then for seasonings, I am adding salt, pepper, and parsley. And again, I made this the day before and put the pork loin in, mixed it all around, and let it marinate for 24 hours essentially. My intention was to grill the pork, but the day I went to grill, it was raining, so I baked it in the oven. The pasta salad was super good. I ate that. My husband ate both, and it doesn't look appetizing, but he said it was good. So the next 3 things are for Mother's Day. I'm the only non-mom in my extended family, and so therefore I did all of the cooking. And my mother and then my sister wanted 2 different types of meat, but they agreed on mac and cheese for a side, and so that is what I'm making here. I got a roux going, and I'm adding half and half because we all know I do not keep milk on hand, so I'm adding that in, mixing constantly. And then adding the seasonings. I always add ground mustard, cayenne, pepper, and parsley to my mac and cheese, and I'm making a excessive amount this day for everyone, but I did not add a super large amount of cayenne because my sister's kids were also eating this, and so I kept it mild for them. So once that has all cooked down and thickened up, I am adding what equates to Velveeta. It's like the off-brand. I always add that for like, that's like the base of like all cheese sauces that I make, because it melts beautifully and adds the creamy factor. When I was doing this, I did realize that it was too thick, so then now I'm adding more half and half. And once that all is melted, I am layering in, well, I'm adding the noodles. First, I cooked an entire box of elbow macaroni because, again, feeding a large crowd. So, incorporated that all with the cheese sauce, and then I am layering that with some extra cheese in between the layers. And then I took that, when I brought it over to my mom's, I popped it in a 380-degree oven for probably about 30 minutes or so until everything was like melty and cheesy and delicious. So with that, my mom wanted a separate like meat and my sister did, so now I'm working at my mom's. She wanted sloppy joes, and well, my husband calls them barbecues, but I do not think that that's what they are because there's no barbecue sauce in them, but I call them sloppy joes. So I always add peppers and onions to the sloppy joes. I have some hamburger brownie in there that I'm adding the veggies to and cooking that down, letting the meat finish browning. And then of course I'm adding some salt and pepper. So for what equates to like the sauce of the sloppy joes, I'm adding brown sugar, ketchup, and mustard. And that is always like the base of my sloppy joe mixture. And again, I don't follow recipes, I just eyeball everything. So adding all that stuff in and then seeing what it looks like. So I mixed that all in and then realized that it did not look right to me. So I'm doing another round of brown sugar, ketchup, and mustard. And I'm also adding the seasonings now. So garlic powder and red pepper flakes. Yeah, and here's me making sure that my husband thought it tasted right, and it did. So my sister is obsessed with pulled pork, so for Mother's Day, I made the sloppy joes and then I'm making a pulled pork. And so I have a pork loin here in my crock pot, and I'm going to season it with garlic powder, ground mustard, salt, pepper, and cumin. I saw a recipe that was like to try cumin with the pulled pork, and I was like, why not do that? So that's what I did. My sister really, really liked this. So I feel like that's probably a key ingredient. I don't know. Every time I make pulled pork, I make it slightly differently, but this turned out super good. According to them, I did not taste it, but everyone loved it. Once I got that all rubbed in with the seasonings, for the liquid, I added that can of pineapple chunks with the juice and all. And then I cooked this in my crock pot for like 11 and a half hours on low and slow, make it nice and tender. And here I am shredding it. So it became super tender, it cooked really well. And now I'm shredding it, which took a significant amount of time. For the sauce, I had a little bit of that barbecue sauce left, so I added that, and then I added some generic barbecue sauce. And then I also added some juices. I'd skimmed off the fat, but some juices of the pork mixture from the crock pot. Added that in. I added grape jelly, of course, and crushed red pepper. I let that all cook down. So once that was ready, I poured it over the pulled pork and then realized that it was not enough sauce. So I did that entire process again for a second batch of barbecue sauce and then added it to the pulled pork to make sure it was nice and juicy. And when I was at my mother's, I popped the mac and cheese in the oven, kept the sloppy joe stuff warm, and then popped this in the oven as well, just to give it more time to incorporate the sauce into the meat. On this night, I was making classic spaghetti and meatballs, so I have a scrambled egg there, and I'm adding that Italian sausage with some breadcrumbs. I just had panko on hand, so I used those. Garlic powder, minced onion, basil, and Italian seasoning, and salt and pepper. And then I mixed that all together. Initially, I used a fork to slowly incorporate it, and then I just went in with my hands and mixed it all together and made some meatballs. So at first I seared the meatballs on all-ish sides, making sure that they held their form and got a nice sear on them. And then I removed them from that pan, but kept all the juices and stuff, and added garlic to saute that up a little bit. And then I added marinara sauce, and I always add a little bit of water in the jar, mix it around, and dump that in too to get all the sauce. Mixed in that garlic, and then added the seasonings: basil, Italian seasoning, and garlic. No, I did not add garlic powder because that was already in there, but I did add minced onion because sometimes I saute an onion with it. This time I did not, so I added minced onion. And then once that was all mixed in, I put the meatballs back in with the juices, covered it, and let the sauce cook, and the meatballs finished cooking in the sauce. So with that, I just served a side salad and angel hair pasta, that's our favorite, with the meatballs. This night was super quick and easy. I'm making some baked potatoes. Obviously those are tiny, but olive oil, salt and pepper, pierced them a bunch of times, wrapped them in foil, popped them in the oven at 400 until they're done. I mean, I think it took like 30 minutes maybe. They're small. And then I had a pork chop on the grill with salt, pepper, paprika on it. Cooked all that up. Here it is. Thank you so much for watching. Please come back for more videos.